On this episode of INI9, I have with me Dr. Sanjay Baru, Director of Geoeconomics at International Institute of Strategic Studies, but a lot more besides that. That's just his convenient designation. So what we're going to talk about today is literally, India's engagement with East Asia. And I just wanted to get, we were in the corridor yesterday, and you mentioned that we shouldn't be showing our hands or showing our flag in East Asia. Why do you say that?
No, I didn't say we shouldn't be showing our flag in East Asia. I'm saying we shouldn't be showing our flag, in fact, anywhere in the world, in the sense that India has to strengthen its domestic situation, both the economic and political situation, before it is able to play a larger role in the world economy and in global politics. I have, for example, been a critic of India's ambition to be on the UN Security Council, because I think the priority for the government for the foreseeable future has to be domestic economic growth, domestic development, reduction or elimination of poverty, literacy, 90% literacy across the length and breadth of the country, and stabilization at home of the political situation. As long as Indian political leadership is internally focused, I don't think it will have the energy and the time to pay enough attention to what is happening in the world. Therefore, I have taken the view that for the foreseeable future, India's priority should be domestic and internal, and one shouldn't get too excited about being a global player.
Yeah, but won't that impact our ability to harness the external opportunities to influence our domestic growth? Right?
No, we must harness our external opportunities, and for me, those are economic opportunities. I think we must eschew or keep a low profile on the political opportunities. For example, if there is today a crisis in the Middle East, there are a lot of Indians who think that we should be playing an active role in either being a bridge between the Shias and the Sunnis, between Israel and the Arab world, and so on and so forth. I don't think it is India's business at the moment to be solving problems away from India when there are problems at home. There is a Maoist problem, there is the problem of regionalism in India, there are cross-border issues with a couple of our neighbors. There are problems at home which require our priority. I think all our political energy should be devoted to dealing with those problems.
Yeah, but again, let me catch you on that. To the extent that participating in addressing geopolitical problems gives us the ticket to participating in economic issues, right? Now let's look at the nuclear thing. You are a strong votary of, both of us are strong votaries of nuclear deal. But let's look at it as an economic relationship. That relationship would not have come if two things hadn't happened. A, the 1998 tests, and also a period of economic growth following that. Now, there is both a geopolitical and a geoeconomic. But we wouldn't have had that nuclear deal if we were not a nuclear power, right? So there was a political act.
No, precisely. We tested our nuclear weapons and declared ourselves a nuclear weapon power because we had very specific geopolitical concerns in our neighborhood. We were concerned about the rise of China. We were concerned about Pakistan going nuclear, which it finally did, and it was on the verge of going nuclear. So the India going nuclear addressed very specific regional concerns. Similarly, India's economic performance made it necessary for India to have a strong relationship with the United States, because India seeks a global trading regime that is favorable to India's rise. India seeks a global, general economic regime, including IPRs, etc., flow of foreign investment. Therefore, what we did, even the nuclear agreement with the US, the focus of it was domestic, energy security, to ensure that we have access to nuclear energy, to ensure we have access to high technology. I mean, one of the driving elements in the strategic partnership with the United States was access to high tech, all of which is focused on India's economic performance and economic growth. That is what drove our foreign policy rather than the other way around. It is not foreign policy driving domestic policy.
Yeah, but let's okay, another way, right? If, let's say, we take X number of years for us to sort out our domestic problems, and by the time we're ready to step out, the cake is already taken by somebody else. Because at this point in Southeast Asia, the small and medium powers are wondering whether they should join the stronger side. Now, if it's seen that because China is ahead of us in many ways, if they see that they're better off being bandwagoning onto the Chinese regime, then when we are finally ready to step out, the whole world has been taken up by others.
First of all, India's relationship with Southeast Asia has actually had an economic edge. India's Look East policy was essentially an economic policy. Today, India does more trade with Asia than with Europe. India has moved from a focus on the West to a focus on the East as far as its trade and foreign investment, etc. concerned. Therefore, India is already engaged with Southeast Asia. Now, as far as China is concerned, I don't believe that the countries of Southeast Asia would really think India is a lever or a leverage or a shoulder to fire from in their relationship with China. I don't think India should in fact get drawn into that kind of a role in the region. India has excellent relationship with the ASEAN economies. India should have excellent relations with China, as indeed India should have good relations with the United States. I think in the foreseeable future, India's foreign policy should be one of strengthening its relations with all major powers, with regional powers, and therefore ensure a global environment which will enable India's economic rise.
Yeah, but okay. Strong and pointed question. Would you support the Indian Navy conducting long-range operations in the South China Sea as they are doing now? As we speak, four of our ships they finished their port call at Subic Bay, Manila, and they're going up north to Korea, and then they'll go up to Japan, Shanghai, and then back. Do you support things like this?
Absolutely. But that is not aimed at China. It is aimed at ensuring the freedom of navigation for Indian ships. As I said, India's trade today, more than 50% of India's trade today is with the Asia Pacific economies. And therefore, ensuring freedom of access to Indian ships, merchant ships in the Asia Pacific waters, or what's been called the Indo-Pacific region, is a priority for India. Indian flag will fly, but it's not aimed at China. It's not meant to provoke China or to give anybody a sense of security vis-a-vis China. It is in order to ensure that our own national interests are safeguarded.
So in the sense that we would want to fly the flag, but we would want to fly the flag for our own economic reasons and internal reasons, right?
Absolutely. The trade, India's flag follows its trade. Trade in a general sense, not just merchandise trade, but services trade, the movement of people, the movement of investment, and search for resources. India is interested in looking at the opportunities for tapping into hydrocarbons, into other natural resources, and no country should be in a position to deny India that access. And therefore, India's defense posture or maritime posture is shaped by the need to safeguard its economic interests, which are aimed at alleviating poverty at home, at bringing employment to millions of Indians who are unemployed, and of strengthening the Indian economy.
Okay. Now, finally, in your deliberations over the last few months, did you notice any change in the way the countries perceive us in the light of the slacking of our growth?
Well, I think a large number of countries are worried that India's economy is slowed down. There is irritation at continued bureaucratism in Indian system. I think there's a general complaint both by Indian business as well as international business that India is not an easy place to do business in. And India's friends are worried for India because India's friends would like to see the Indian economy grow at 8, 9, 10%. India's friends would like to see the Indian economy be more open and more integrated with the world economy. And that was the path we had walked between 1991 and 2009. I think till the global financial crisis hit us in 2009, that was there are several governments, people forget, it was not just BJP in 98, 2004, there was a National Front government, Devagowda, Gujaral government, which pursued the same reforms that Manmohan Singh and Narasimha Rao started in 91. So from 91 to 2009, there was a certain consensus and the Indian economy became stronger and stronger and stronger. From an average of 5.5% growth in the 80s, We went to an average of 7.5% in the 90s, and then to almost 9% between 2003 and 2008. So the slowing down in the last couple of years, the shift in focus from reforms, from liberalization, from global integration, to more and more of subsidies and populism at home is something which is worrying India's friends. And it's not just because they can't make more money in India, because they want India to play a larger role in the global system.